What's up, everybody? Is it mailbag time? Will 2025 be the cherry on top for the Young Whiz Kids organization? Good question. We're going to take a look at draft picks and some free agents in 2025. Come on, rock with me and Abdullah. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again. Your favorite podcast now has a newsletter, introducing the Locked On Wizards daily newsletter. A one-stop shop for the ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. It's that easy. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start your day with the all-new free Locked On Wizards newsletter. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. All right, everybody, let's get into it. This is mailbag time. You guys gave us the questions. We're going to give you our best answers. Tonight, we got my guy from D&D Sports Zone, my guy, Abdullah. How you feeling tonight, man? A long day, man.
Yeah, it really was a long day. Wizards, the youth movement is there. I'm happy, but the Commanders are 7-2. It's a good time to be a DC sports fan.
Oh yeah, man. Like I said, this has been one heck of a 24 hours, man. Obviously the election, there's always a big time in the United States, but looking at DC, Marshawn Lattimore is now a Washington Commander. So I know we're gonna talk about that in a little bit, man. But looking at our Wiz kids, with the emergence of Bilal Coulibaly and Jordan Poole, some hard questions come along, man. Will 2025 be the cherry on top? Obviously, the 2025 draft, big hill on the draft, Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper. The list goes on. Ace Bailey, you can argue in the top 10. You have guys who can be legitimate faces of the franchise. So we're going to look at some questions and we're going to do our answers, man. So let's look at the first question of the night. We're going to start off with the YouTube side. This is from Jimmy Go Outside. Very interesting name. Like it. It says, if the Wizards don't get the number one overall pick in the 2025 draft, there's a chance my favorite guy, VJ Edgecombe, will be there for selecting. He's a 6'4" point guard / shooting guard. And at this point in the rebuild, do the Wizards avoid selecting a player whose best fit is at shooting guard? Good question, man. So, Abdullah, real quick, before I let you answer the question, man, it is a good question. If you look at the fact that this front office has made it known that they want to invest heavily in Jordan Poole and Bob Carrington in the backcourt, but there are other factors, right? Looking at the contract, 3-year contract for Jordan Poole. Yes, he has emerged as a guy who's probably going to be definitely in the conversation for most improved player, but with a guy who's going to be going into his prime, after the 3-year contract, his price tag will get bigger. So, kind of a two-part question real quick, man. Number one, Jordan Poole. Do you see him exclusively as a guy now that is going to be part of what the Wizards are doing in the future? Or do you see them, looking at a scenario where, all right, his value's up. Let's see if we can flip him from his contract. And would Jordan Poole and Bob Carrington be reasons why you would not go out there and get a prospect in the 2025 NBA draft?
So it's kind of interesting. I feel like JP, at least the start of this season, he's looked good. And obviously it's you got to watch the whole season. I guess it's up into that trade deadline to see like what the direction that the Will Dolphins wants to do. But I have faith and good idea that Bob Carrington and Jordan Poole would be a good backcourt. And I just, especially like if there's a guy like Flagg out there or Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper or those guys, just wouldn't make sense to get another guard, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird situation, but I'll say this. This is a good situation to be in because we have options. We're not handicapped by a max contract. Whether it was Juwan Howard, Gilbert Arenas, the list goes on, Bradley Beal, John Wall. We're not handicapped as far as salary cap-wise, right? We have a lot of options. Looking at Jordan Poole, I love me some Jordan Poole, man. Like I said, I'm a big fan of him. He did get a lot of smoke last year, from struggling, but his demeanor, how he was able to keep working and, the second half of last season really gets something out of that. I think you got to give him his flowers. And then what he's doing this season, man. He came into the season very, very locked in, different headspace. He comes in with a chip on the shoulder, wants to prove not only the fan base, the organization, let them know he's still here. He's letting the NBA know that, look, Jordan Poole ain't gone anywhere, man. So, I mean, look at, the game against the Warriors. This man popping threes on Draymond and then pointing at him. And then Draymond Green had good things to say about him. So, to me, it's very 50-50. On one hand, I look at a guy where he likes being here. He's embraced DC. He's embraced the culture here. And if he wants to be a future piece, he's shown and proven that he wants to be part of what the Wizards are doing. He's emerged as the leader of the locker room. Between him and Anthony Gill, Kyle Kuzma, still leader, but he's kind of, I think that he knows that the writing's on the wall. I think that he knows that to a certain point, he's going to be gone at some point. So he's kind of relinquished the leadership role to Jordan Poole. And I think that's a good thing because, you look at that one play, I forget what game it was, where there was a hard foul on Bub Carrington. And Bub Carrington got up, man, and look, be more product, man. He was ready to get up and fight. Jordan Poole said, look, chill out. Don't catch a T. Go to the line, relax. Jordan Poole's a young man. I don't know, years back, he probably would have been over there fighting with him. You know what I mean? So now you got a guy who's shown leadership. On the flip side of the coin, I see, a scenario where you get his value up. The price tag is a little concerning. I would say that because, as you know, the salaries will go up from there. See a guy that if he proves his worth, his price tag is going to get higher. And if you look at 3 years from now, what is the first rookie contract up for extension? Bilal Coulibaly. And honestly, I love me some JP, man. But look, if you have to choose between the two, and if you're looking towards the future, Bilal's a guy that you want to sign to that extension. So I could see both scenarios. So, looking at the draft, man, I mean, you can't miss. I mean, I'll say this, and it kind of goes back to the question real quick, man, is that, Cooper Flagg's already gone. Even Ace Bailey's already gone. After that, you have a lot of high upside shooting guards. I mean, I'm looking at now, Dylan Harper. Right now, Ace Bailey's, I believe, is hurt. So Dylan Harper, they're looking at him to kind of step up at Rutgers in a very early NCAA season. Edgecombe, another guy. There's that French guard, Girard. I'm still working on my Le Francais, man, so work with me. But like I said, the two guard is very interesting because Bub Carrington, that's kind of another scenario I'm going to throw at you, man. He's shown a lot of glimpses of being a floor general. And if you look at his abilities to score, that could be one factor that could also potentially push Jordan Poole out too. So I'm with you, man. I think that we're in a good position. We're in a really good position because we have choices. It's been a long time since we had choices. I mean, we were talking about before the podcast, man. It's a very exciting time to be a DC sports fan because Commanders look like they are gonna make some noise, man. But these Wiz kids, man, that kind of goes into my next question for you, Abdullah. How excited are you about these 3 draft picks of the 2024 NBA draft?
Man, youth movement. Like you said, it's in the past as a Wizards fan, seeing us held back because of contracts by Ernie Grunfeld and company. The fact that we have young guys, 19, 20-year-olds just going out there balling out, not worrying about like a playoff push or anything. There's just no expectations. And it's just great to see it. Like seeing a guy like Bilal Coulibaly at 20 years old just balling out there, like potentially could be a top 10 two-way player within these next couple of years. Like I love it, man. I love it. So many people, I remember even his rookie year, like obviously people are just so quick to write out guys like Bilal Coulibaly. Alex Sarr in the summer league game or in a couple summer leagues, people were saying he sucks. And now he's like in top 5 in blocks. His ability and his jump shot's gonna get better throughout the season. Like it's just great to see, man. Like you want to see your young guys play and just get better. That's all you can ask for as a Wizards fan. Now I understand, the whole patience. We haven't seen much, but again, if you want to win, it's gotta take some time.
Look, the rebuild doesn't have to take forever. Yes, we're gonna need patience. It's gonna take some time. Here's the thing: Bilal Coulibaly coming out of the draft. Number one, he was relatively unknown. Wembanyama was the one guy that kind of gave him a lot of coverage, a lot of exposure because they were teammates. But before the draft, not a lot of people knew about Bilal Coulibaly. And then once you started to see, the highlights with him and Wembanyama and them working together in tandem, you saw the potential. But even then, coming out the draft, he was very raw offensively. Defensively, very, very polished, but offensively, very raw. His emergence this season tells me one thing: work ethic. It's what you want to see from a young guy who hopes to be a co-face of the franchise. The kid went out this offseason, got some knowledge during the Olympics, because he didn't play too much, so he got a lot of knowledge. But look at the guys he was able to play on the team with. These guys taught him how to be a pro on the court and off the court, how to work your butt off, work ethic, going out there, work on your game, how to carry yourself, how to treat your body, how to get a dietitian, all the small things that really are the key factors of separate your average NBA player and your superstars. LeBron James puts how much money into his body every year. Hate him or love him, he invests in himself. Zion Williamson, not so much. And that's been the one thing that's held him back to really reaching that level where he could be, because Zion Williamson is a superstar. But, his biggest enemy is not the opposing defense. It's a fork. Not eating right, not, taking care of his body, man. So, he has learned all those things. I love what I've seen Bilal Coulibaly. He is breaking out. I thought that next year was going to be his official breakout campaign, but come on, man. I mean, he is a dog, man. I mean, offensively, he's a dog now. He's attacking the basket. He's less hesitant to shoot that 3-point shot. He's got a mid-range game, improved ball handling. You see higher basketball IQ. And that's what I'm saying, working with a lot of these vets, you're Evan Fournier, you're Rudy Gobert on the French team. He was able to kind of pick their brain a little bit and say, look, man, how do you do this? How they'll do this. They helped set him up for success. And he put in that work. And looking at JP13, same thing. It's one, we had a lot of expectations to see what he can do in DC. He worked his tail off, man. He worked. And you see the dog factor, man. I mean, he's having fun out there. And that's what I'm saying. There's no expectations on these players. For him to drop a 3-point shot and start pointing at Draymond, I love it, man. Some people are like, oh, it's mature. No. I mean, he's having fun. I mean, look, anybody that doesn't realize that the NBA is a trash-talking league, man. I mean, people are talking all the time. So that just happened to be a moment they caught. Look, he's having fun out there. So I'm with you. I think we're in a really good spot. I think that 2025 is going to be very pivotal. And we're about to talk about, man, because we're going to take a look at some other draft picks and some free agents from 2025 who could help supplement this team going forward. But before we do, man, tonight's episode is brought to you by HIMS. So look, guys, you ever feel like you need a little boost in the bedroom? It's time to stop worrying about your performance and get HIMS so you can feel confident knowing that you can get hard and stay hard whenever you're in the mood. HIMS is a changing men's healthcare by providing you access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. HIMS provides access to a wide range of doctor-trusted erectile dysfunctional treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. Good Lord. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option for you. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. Man, I'm trying to tell you. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, HIMS can help you find the erectile dysfunction option that works for you. So look, do yourself a favor, fellas. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized erectile dysfunction treatment options. HIMS.com/lockedon. All right, man, let's get back into this thing. Very interesting start to the ass tonight.
I'm just sending it to a friend right now, B.
It's all good, man. So let's get into this thing, man. So we got another question from the YouTube side. This is from @LockedOnLaw, long time listener and watcher. And they said, let's talk free agency. I know the plan is to draft and develop, but is there anyone 25 or under out there that you'd like to see the Wizards snag in the offseason? I wonder if they could get someone like Gary Trent Jr. to fit in the backup shooting guard role. He's had a down year in Milwaukee and might be available on the cheap. Anyone you can think of in that mold? Good question, man. So looking at free agency, obviously we're not going to be very active in free agency, Abdullah. They're going to be building through the draft, supplementing through free agency or the draft, and trade market. But are there any guys looking forward? Because I'm kind of throw some names at you real quick for free agents. Because, when it comes to younger guys, a lot of teams have done a good job of retaining their younger players. So you're not going to see a lot of younger guys. But Gary Trent is, the backup shooting guard. That is an option. So I'm going to go through the top 10 real quick, free agents real quick, and you kind of let me know. Because a lot of them I think we're pretty much out on. So obviously, number one, Kyrie Irving route, LeBron James ain't coming here, Brandon Ingram, Jimmy Butler, and Julius Randle. But a couple players I'm looking at, Jonathan Kuminga, intriguing, even though I don't think we're going to pay him what he's asking for. And Josh Giddey's another intriguing guy if you look at his age. But another guy I'm looking at, if I can pull him up real quick, because I just had the brother, is Karis LeVert. He's a young guy who, yes, has a very inconsistent jump shot, but is a baller. He can defend. And so anybody, I mean, I guess the question I ask, man, is how active do you want to see the Wizards in free agency in 2025?
You talked about it, at least with me. I always like when a team builds from the draft, not so much the free agency. But when it comes to Will Dawkins, the idea of getting those veterans, obviously the veteran presence and boosting their trade value to trade up or to trade them out with getting draft picks. Yeah. I just never been a fan of just signing guys and throwing out money, because we've seen in the past where like guys giving contracts to Jan Mahimi or just unnecessary free agents, when clearly it's better to see the young guys play. Obviously, a guy like Karis LeVert would be nice, but at the end of the day, you don't want to spend so much money where again you're cap and not a good cap situation. That makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. And I say this, I know that per the CBA, you have to fulfill so much of your salary cap space. And I get that. And I think they did get a good job doing that with, signing Kyle Kuzma to a very affordable contract. Same thing, Jonas Valanciunas, the list goes on. Sadiq Bey, I think, was a contract that serves both purposes. We fulfilled that portion of the salary cap, and we have a guy who at age 25 could be part of the future, but I don't see us very active. I think that what we have, we're gonna build on that through the draft. Now, Karis LeVert would be a nice young piece, but it all comes down to asking price. And again, a lot of these contracts, veteran-wise, are going to be gone, but a lot of them are 3-year contracts. So, in 3 years, the biggest contract that comes up that needs to be extended is Bilal Coulibaly, and you best believe you're going to want to sign him long-term, man, because he's a star in the making. So, I don't see many people that I would entertain. I mean, Gary Trent Jr. would be intriguing if it was a really good contract. I think we could get him on the cheap. He's a guy who, not a bad defender, mostly shooter, a guy who can definitely create a shot for himself. So I'm with you on that. I don't think we're going to be very active, to be honest with you. So let's get into the third question, man, real quick. And then we'll go into the ad break, and then we'll kind of look at the rest of the week schedule-wise, because I'm going to kind of get your opinion on the schedule. So we're going to look at on X, a.k.a. Twitter. And this question is from One Duck Sco at Dying Squirrel. That is very interesting. It says, college basketball season just started. Which prospect stood out the most to you so far that the Wizards might be interested in? I like Igor Denham, BYU, and Will Riley, Illinois. Those are really a couple good picks, man. But I'm going to let you start off, man, very early in the NCAA season. So, the real 5 guys I'm looking at, Gerard, obviously, he's a guy coming out of France. But how closely outside of, obviously Cooper Flag, but how closely are you looking at Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey out of Rutgers?
I feel like obviously if we don't get that top two pick, those 2 guys, right there is something that we'll be looking at coming down the line. At least with me, I like to look towards before March Madness or even the tournament itself, where it's just like, okay, this is where they really shine, because like that, those are big games and the big lights are in the pros with the NBA. So that's where I really focus on. Obviously, like right now, season just started, so not any crazy big games yet, but coming down throughout the season and how they react with other like high ranking opponents who they play. That's something to look at.
Hey man, they always say that great minds think alike. I agree 100%. I'm with you. I think that you don't really get a clear indication of what a player is going to be till NCAA time, because or the tournament, that is, because that is when the lights are the brightest. That's when you really find out what a player is at. It's one thing to be. I hate to use his name, man, but I hate to. You got the Kirk Cousins, right, where they have immaculate regular seasons, man. But then when it comes playoff time, or your Dak Prescotts, come on now, where in regular season they look all that, but then when the lights are shinier, man, they fail. You want to see a guy who come playoff time is ready to cook. I think that the NCAA tournament is a really good identifier who's ready to take that next step and really perform when the lights are the brightest, man, because that's what you're drafting guys, especially in the top 10 for. To perform when it's called upon when we need them the most. When it comes to playing these bad teams in the regular season, we need you to shine when it is game 7, when it's that last shot or that last defensive stop. And that's what, so I'm with you. I think that's the best time to really look at prospects. But, some prospects I'm looking at outside of Cooper Flag, because I think that's the obvious choice not so much obvious now, because I think Ace Bailey has, gained some ground on Cooper Flag, but Ace Bailey, obviously Cooper Flag, but some other people looking at, and somebody to really look at for the Wizards, because again, we saw with the 2024 draft that it's not guaranteed that if you're the worst team in the league, you're going to get the number 1 pick. I mean, who got it? Atlanta, and they had no business getting it. Detroit needed a pick like people in hell needed ice water, man. So I mean, I'm looking at, you need to have a consistency plan. It can't be Cooper Flag and bust, because if you're dependent on Cooper Flag being the guy, then you're going there's a lot of talent draft. Dylan Harper is who I'm looking at. A guy who can definitely play shooting guard. He's very intriguing, man. I love his size. 6'6", 215. He's 18 years old, so he fits timeline. His comparisons are Kobe White, Jalen Brunson, and James Harden. So he's a guy that I would love on his team outside of Cooper Flag and Ace Bailey. But some other people to look at, man. I mean, it's VJ Edgecombe, is a shooting guard out of Baylor, 6'5", 180 pounds, out of the Bahamas. His comparison is the DMV zone Victor Oladipo and Shane Sharp, not too shabby. Nolan Chouard, the French guard out of St. Quentin. I mean, he's a point guard with some size, 6'4", 184, with his comparison being Lonzo Ball. And there's other guys to look at, man. Drake Powell is another guy, shooting guard. And that's what I'm saying, Abdullah, is that shooting guard, if you need one, this is the draft to get one. I mean, if you miss out on Cooper Flag, and that really goes back to the Jordan Poole and Bub Carrington question, right? Is that, you're in a position where you could go grab that 2 guard. So they might feel, kind of compelled to do that because, I go down this list, man. There's nothing but 2 guards who are dogs, man. Like I said, those are the guys that I really like. Now, there's obviously other guys with names I cannot pronounce. Kasparas Jukasienis. I hope that's his name. But like I said, that's another question I have for you real quick, man, is that when you look at this draft coming up in the previous draft, the international prospects we're getting now is intriguing because the NBA to me and basketball overall, I think is definitely in competition with soccer of having that international outreach, right? You got high-end talent come from not only Europe, the Middle East, Asia, Latin America, different parts of America, Canada. Look at Team Canada. How much talent is coming out of Canada as opposed to the last 10, 15 years? And you look at the European players, and there's really 2 types of players in Europe. Obviously, your traditional European players, and then players that come from other areas of the world who have immigrated to Europe. And, looking at Giannis Antetokounmpo, looking at, Bilal Koulibaly, who I believe is originally from Senegal. The fact that they're, able to not only, represent Europe is just, I love it. I really do. I love the international touch of the NBA. So how much of an advantage does that give the NBA as opposed to other leagues like the NFL or Major League Baseball, that the NBA is able to reach into Africa or Asia or the Middle East and find all-star or Hall of Fame talent?
No, it's amazing. It's great to see the fact that, it's not just Americans who play in the NBA. It's all around the globe. I think it just brings in that bigger audience, and now the basketball, like you said, obviously not the same level of soccer, maybe not now, maybe in the future. Yeah. But the fact that everywhere you can bring players around the world, international fans, seeing countries like, I think people stay up till 3, 4 a.m. watching their favorite player play. It's great to see. And shoot, if we went 1 for 1 for Bilal, let's see if another Frenchman we can do. Sorry, 2 for 2. So we can get another Frenchman,
Absolutely. And like I said, diversity is a beautiful thing, man. And you see that in the NBA, man. Like I said, I use Europe as an example because you have players like Luka Doncic, but then you have players like Bilal Koulibaly, who born in France, but family from Senegal. Same thing, Giannis Antetokounmpo, born in Greece. I love the diversity of the NBA, man. I really do, because you're able to reach in every part of the world and find high-end talent. The last 5 MVPs were all foreign-born players. And to me, that's a strength of the NBA, is that, it's not just an American league anymore. Is that when you look at FIBA, when you look at the Olympics, the gap is shorter now. It's not just Team USA destroying everybody else. It's that you have to have Team Canada. You have a team like Team Germany, where you have a healthy mix. Again, a diverse players, man. Especially if you, exactly, man. And I think that's the beautiful thing about what the NBA is doing. They're looking at Mexico City as a potential expansion place, for a team, which I think is a good thing. I know the NFL is talking about London, but to me, logistics-wise, it's easier for the NBA to accumulate, or not accumulate, but to bring in Mexico City as opposed to London to the NFL, just because of that flight across the pond, man. So, like I said, I wanted your take on it because, like I said, it's very, very refreshing to see just how diverse the NBA is, man. To see, not just the U.S. taking that lead, is that you see Nigerian players coming in and playing good basketball. Victor Oladipo, shout out to him, DMV guy. Bilal, the same thing with him. So, like I said, I definitely wanted to get your take on that. So let's get into. We're gonna look at the schedule, man. I'm gonna give you. We're gonna kind of break down the next 10 games for the Whiz Kids. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Bilt. So look, Bilt is breaking ground as a neighborhood rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent. Every month, pay your rent and watch the Bilt points roll in. Use points to jet off on a dream vacation. Put your points toward a flight or a hotel stay in New Orleans with 500 plus airlines and 700,000 plus hotels and properties. Come on now, y'all. You can also use your points to book fitness studio classes. Redeem them towards a future rent payment. They're designed to meet your lifestyle. So look, pay rent hassle-free through the Bilt Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade, y'all. Bilt points have been consistently ranked the highest value point currency by the Points Guy and Bankrate. So do yourself a favor, earn points by paying rent right now when you join Bilt.com/LockedOnNBA. That's JOINBILT.com/LockedOnNBA. Make sure to use your URL so they know we sent you. Join Bilt.com/LockedOnNBA to start earning points today with your rent payments. Tonight's episode is also brought to you by Gametime. You guys know me, I go to games all the time. And to me, Gametime is the best app out of all the competitors. I ain't gonna name drop nobody, but they are. And there's 3 reasons why. Well, number 1, Gametime picks. Creation makes it easier to save more on sports tickets, but not only sports tickets, concert shows, comedy events, theater events, etc. What else? All in pricing. Talking, this feature shows the total upfront with no surprise fees to checkout. And lastly, seat views. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know your view and if you're getting your money's worth. So look, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code Locked On Wizards for $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account, redeem code Locked On Wizards for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime, baby. All right, let's get back into this thing. So we're gonna take a look at the schedule real quick. Let me knock this. There we go. All right, so let me pull up the schedule real quick. Bear with me. But like I said, before we get into the schedule, this team is not too shabby, Abdullah. I mean, look at these young guys. How many? Keyshawn George is 1 3-point shot away from getting the rookie record, man. So I mean, he let that thing, I'm telling you, man, he let that thing fly too. I mean, he had no hesitancy to take that shot, man. But we got 3 dogs on this roster. I mean, Keyshawn George, I mean, I knew that he could defend, but he looks like he's a lockdown defender. Serious energy, man. They've been playing him at the 4. So while I pull up the schedule real quick, because it's giving me a little bit of fits, real quick, they've been playing him at the 4. Do you think that is a good place to play Keyshawn George, or what is the ideal place to play him?
I mean, right now, he's been hooping at the 4. Unless the coaching staff thinks that, hey, like, he'll be better at the 3. Right, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, as the saying goes, And he's been letting that thing fly, and to see that confidence as a rookie, I mean, you gotta love it, man.
You gotta love the confidence, man. Keyshawn George, Bub Carrington, and Alex Sarr. When you combine that, I mean, look, we have a nice foundation. That's the biggest thing to look at is we have a foundation. You take these 3 draft picks in this year's draft. Bilal Coulibaly is already breaking out. Tristan Vucevic, I think you're going to get more of an extended look with him in the second half of the season once we move on from Jonas Valanciunas and possibly Rashawn Holmes. And we'll see what we do with Marvin Bagley III. But I think we're in a good spot, especially when you look at, Jordan Poole, a guy who hasn't hit his prime yet. He's going to be hitting his prime when his team's better. Same thing with Sadiq Bey. He's a baller, be more product. And then Corey Kispert. So, and that's one question I'm going to have for you before we get into the schedule, man, because I know that's a hot topic right now. Corey Kispert signs a really team-friendly extension. I mean, what do you see is going to happen with him long-term? Do you see that he's going to be here for a while, or do you see them kind of doing the Denny move where they already signed him to a team-friendly deal, and then do you see them moving him at some point?
So, as a big Corey Kispert stan, obviously I would like to have him here. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Anytime I see that man shoot, it goes in most of the time. But it would make – I think if they had that trade value with that contract, it would make sense to trade him. But it's also nice to have that one reliable shooter on the team. So I would want Corey to stay. But if the value is there, you can get some draft capital for him with 2025, I don't see why not trading him.
I'm the same way with Jordan Poole as I am with Corey Kispert. I'm a fan of both of these guys. I think that they're really good players who can definitely be contributors in the future for the Washington Wizards. They already are contributors. Even though, Corey Kispert has been struggling, but I think that he's going to be all right, man. He's going to figure it out because he's been a very consistent source of not only 3-point shooting, but points for every, he's gotten better every year. So he's going to be all right, man. So I agree with that. I think that they could take the Denny route and move him at some point. Keyshawn George has emerged that he can fill that role of being a sharpshooter, but I also think that they're a really nice 1-2 punch off the second unit, even though now they're starting Keyshawn George. And getting back to Keyshawn George, with them playing him at the 4, look, if he shows that he can hold down the power forward position, I'm all for it. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, as they say, right? I mean, if he proves that he can do the job, then, like I said, the writing's on the wall for players like Kyle Kuzma, because Kyle Kuzma fits best at the 4, can't play the 3, but Bilal Coulibaly is breaking out, and Keyshawn George, I mean, he's looking pretty good at the power forward position. So this is the youngest lineup in franchise history. So it goes back to, I think that the youth movement has started. I think that right now, I mean, the news has already came out through the front office. Everybody, most of the vets are on the trade block right now. They are actively shopping everybody, from Jonas Valanciunas down to Johnny Davis. So, I mean, Johnny Davis, I know me and you've talked about him, and he's been a hot topic. I'm not going to get back into that with Johnny Davis. I think the writing is on the wall with him. He's going to end up being a salary filler, so a future trade. I think that, he's just not part of the future.
B, I'm not gonna lie. At this point, the writing's on the wall, the ceiling, the floor. It's everywhere when it comes to these veterans. They just know like they're not gonna be here long term, especially Kyle Kuzma.
Oh man, look, yeah, they're not gonna be here much longer, man. But you know what though? Here's the thing. Will Dawkins is the man. I mean, I'm a big fan of Will Dawkins. I've had the esteemed pleasure of having one-on-one talks with him, just talking ball, man. Like I said, the brother knows ball. Like he has a blueprint. Him, Michael Winger, Travis Schlenk. I mean, they have a blueprint. It's not just building from the middle, hoping that something sticks. It is that they have a blueprint. They have a plan of what's going on in DC. Ernie Grunfeld, I don't think he much had a plan. I think he just, he would trade a first-round pick and then not sign a guy next year and then call it a day. And then Tommy Shepard just try to be everybody's friend. Will Dawkins is all business. He's all business. He's letting people know. What's the first thing he did when he came into the front office? Brad, let me tell you, man, choose where you go. It's time to go. It ain't working. I know Bradley Bill came out and said they gave him a choice. They ain't with no choice in that, man. You say, look, we're trying to do something new. We're rebuilding here. We're going to accommodate you, but there was no choice involved. The writing was on the wall at that point. I mean, the fan base was screaming for a rebuild. Not all. There were some people that, wanted to see if we can get the trophy for 8th place, but 8th place don't get no trophies, Abdullah. I mean, you play to win. You build a team to win the championship. There is no building to win the play-in tournament. There is no building a team for 8th spot. You build a team to win a championship. We see it with the Commanders. We see what competent leadership is in the NFL. They built that team to win a Super Bowl, not to make the playoffs like Dan Snyder did. They built the team to win a Super Bowl, and they're well on their way there because Marshawn Lattimore is a dog. But getting back to the Wizards, man, they're building this team to win sustainable championships, not just 1 year. They want to build a dynasty here, and they're doing it the right way. The other things I'm looking at in this rebuild, man, is that, there was comments from Jared Butler that they were putting like weight equipment in there. And and at one point it's like, man, that's cool. Like they're really building it up. But on the second half, on the flip side of the coin, it's like, these brothers didn't even have weight equipment, man. Like how bad was it before they got here, man? Like they're putting money into the facilities. Jared Butler has said himself, I believe it was Jared Butler, he said to the media when I was down there, man, that the food is better. Like he likes the food out there. Like how bad did they have it down there, man? Like they're putting money into the facilities, whether it's weight training, getting stronger, whether it's, eating right, delicious but healthy food. All these things count. It's not just show up and play basketball, man. Like, look, we both play ball. Like I'm too fatter and I'm a little older. I'm not the same player I used to be, man. But look, we can show up and just shoot ball, but these guys, there's a lot that goes into being an NBA player and playing at the highest level. There's been thousands of players who walked into the league and walked right back out because they didn't take it serious enough. It's not just showing up and playing basketball. It's about your diet. It's about your work ethic. It's about so many different factors. And then when you look at organizational fit, Marvin Bagley III shows you that the right coaching staff, the right front office, the right supporting cast, the right culture, which is playing hard, playing to win, you can rejuvenate a player's career. And we see that with Marvin Bagley III, where when he's called upon, he's productive. So let's take a look at the schedule. Kind of got off track a little bit, but let's take a look at the schedule.
I agree with you, man, wholeheartly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like I said, hey, great minds think alike. So let's see. We're going to look at the next 10 games for the Washington Wizards because they are actually headed into a road trip. So we're going to take a look at the next 10 and see what the record is going to be. So, all right, game 1, which is Friday, is going to be at Memphis. Number 2, at Orlando. Number 3, at Houston. It doesn't get better. Number 4, at San Antonio, which I think is winnable. Number 5, at Atlanta. We've already beat them twice. Number 6, at Detroit. At home against Detroit. Number 7, at Madison Square Garden, aka the Mecca. Number 8, home against the Celtics. 9, at Indiana, and 10 against the Chicago Bulls. So, I mean, looking at that schedule, how many wins do you think the Wizards can get out of that schedule, man?
I think at most maybe like 4, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's rough, but I think that Spurs game is winnable. The Pistons game as well.
Yeah.
I know the Magic lost Paulo for a good amount, so that's kind of huge. He's going. I mean, I know it's a Wizards podcast, but Paulo's on a whole different tier. 21 years old. I mean, I really wish he was a Wizard. I remember I was watching him in college because the Tech was playing Duke and the ACC championship, and the way he moves at 6'10", just like a mini LeBron, it's incredible. But yeah, man, I think 4 or 5. I mean, playing guys like Boston and the New York, I think those two are coming. They're going to be competing for the Eastern Conference, so it's going to be rough. But again, like the fact that we beat Atlanta twice, gives me confidence when we play Atlanta again. Hopefully, seeing Bilal clamp up Trae Young, that'd be awesome. But and the whole like Wemby versus his former teammate Bilal, that's gonna be fun too.
Yeah, I guess we'll take a look at the schedule. I mean, at Memphis, that's the L. I'm sorry. I mean, they're just Jaws. He's on a mission, man. I'm telling you, Jaws is on a mission. Like you said, Orlando's intriguing because Paulo is such a big part of their offense, and I do like Franz Wagner, but is it enough for him to really take the torch and take the lead and win that game? I think that's a winnable game in Orlando. Houston, I think, is an L. San Antonio is intriguing. I'm going to say it's a winnable game. Atlanta, I think, is a very winnable game. Detroit's a very winnable game. But after that, New York in New York is hard, man. New York in New York, it is not an easy feat. Let's see, Boston, I hate to say it, but we'll just go ahead and put that down as an L. Indiana I think we can play them well, and the Bulls, we play them well. I think that it's not the same narrative. And then again, it goes back to the Commanders, right? Having that narrative of having a losing culture. There's not that narrative anymore in DC when it comes to the Wizards. Head coach Brian Keefe has instilled a culture of playing hard and playing to win. And yes, against these obvious contenders, a lot of them are going to be L's. It's a talent gap, and there's nothing you can do about that. But with a lot of these fringe in the middle teams, and a lot of these teams are lottery bound teams, I think we can definitely surprise a lot of people because they play hard. They play to win. I mean, that's the thing. There's there's not a culture gap, but there's a talent gap to where there's a certain matchups you're going to lose, but they're playing hard. There's no more 5 minutes left in the fourth and putting a white flag in the air. I mean, these guys are playing till the whistle starts, till the game ends. So I'm with you on that. I think it's about 4 wins. So we're going to go ahead and call it a night. Definitely appreciate you again, man, coming on the show, chopping the ball with me, man. Definitely the first of many visits that you're going to make on this here, man. And again, before you roll, anything you want to plug or anything, where can we find you, man?
Of course, man. Always love talking about the Wiz. Now the Commanders are good. It's good to see a lot of fans coming out and supporting. I think just follow me on DMV Sports on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Just pushing out a lot of fire content out there as much as we can. Now the Commanders are good. It's crazy. So many fans are coming out the bushes. The Wizards are young. Seeing a guy like Bilal Coulibaly, a future superstar. I know it's maybe might be too early, but I'm seeing it right in front of my eyes. Like, it's amazing to see that. And it's a great time to be a DC fan. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, you're before we roll, man. You're right about that, man. I haven't seen so many Commanders fans in years, man. So I mean, the other day I was walking outside where this guy came out of the bush, said, "Is it 1995?" Like, what are you doing, man? So it's refreshing to see the fan base come out. The fan base deserves it. The city deserves it. Let's get this team back into DC. Let's go ahead and knock down RFK and build it back up, man. So I'm definitely in favor. So again, man, appreciate you, brother, man. Definitely appreciate you coming on, chopping ball, man. So again, guys, definitely check out the newsletter, man. It's free, comes out every day. Your boys, definitely give me some feedback. Let me know how the articles are. Try to keep things interesting. So again, definitely, you're gonna see Abdullah again, man. So definitely, appreciate you coming out, man. So all right, everybody. We'll probably see you but we'll see you guys next time, man. Because tomorrow we have rapper Big Poole will be on the show, formerly of the rap group Little Brother. So look, if you are a hip hop fan, definitely tune in, man, because we got my guy Big Poole coming on the show. He is a Reston, Virginia native, man. So definitely can't miss, man. But again, definitely appreciate it, man. So we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Hail to the Wizards and peace.